Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. Today's lecture will cover chapter 3, which is ethics, social responsibility, and more or less about sustainability. So by the end of this session, I hope all of you understand what ethics is, and why is it critical in strategic management, the impact of unethical behavior like bribery or workplace romance, and the importance of corporate social responsibility and environmental sustainability in strategic planning. We'll also touch on animal welfare, which is increasingly becoming a strategic concern even in Malaysia. So this is what we are basically going to cover in this session. We have like 4 basic learning objectives, and then ethics and social responsibility are woven throughout the strategic management process, and from the strategy formulation, to the implementation, and to the evaluation. It is vital for us to know why comprehensive strategic management is important. And then in Malaysia, for instance, government-linked companies like Petronas integrate sustainability into their corporate strategies just to meet national and global expectations. So what is business ethics? It is the principles of conduct within organizations that guide decision making and behavior. So business ethics refers to the principles that will guide all of the organization's staff behavior. So in strategic management, embedding ethics will ensure that decisions made is aligned with moral values and societal expectations. Let's look at AirAsia. AirAsia rises to success, and what it does. Okay, it is not just about cost leadership, but also ethical practices in employee welfare and also customer service that AirAsia implement. So why business ethics is important, guys? There are 3 major reasons. First, it builds trust and reputation. Second, it ensures legal compliance. And third, it supports long-term success. For example, Maybank in Malaysia. Maybank is strictly focusing on its internal controls and also ethical banking standards. Why? Because they want to help building their reputation across nation and also Asia. So there are 7 principles of admirable business ethics that you need to know. The first is be trustworthy. Second comes be open-minded. The third is honor commitments and obligations, followed by do not misrepresent, do not exaggerate or mislead. And then the 5th is to be a visible, responsible community citizen. The 6th is to utilize your accounting practice to eliminate questionable activities. And last but not least, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So these principles, like being trustworthy and honoring commitments, are fundamental because, for example, a local example is like Padini Holdings. Padini Holdings is known for transparent business practices, and they also exercises fair labor conditions. And then, for each principle that we have learned before, we need to explain why it is trustworthy. It is what we call encouraged to be open-minded, because, for example, like trustworthy, it is the act of doing something in a way that others can rely on. So this includes telling truth, honoring confidentiality, consistently doing what is morally right. Okay, so for example, like KPJ healthcare industries. Okay, KPJ Healthcare earns passion, trust, but adhering to strict medical ethics. Okay, and then to be open-minded. Open-mindedness refers to the willingness to consider new ideas, diverse perspectives, and constructive feedback, right? So for example, like companies like Grab Malaysia, they listen to the feedback from their customers or customers or consumers, alright, and then they try to improve their services, okay, by referring to the feedback given. The third is honor commitments and obligation. Ethical businesses keep their promises, meet deadlines, and fulfill contractual and moral obligations in order to oblige with their commitment. So this will build credibility and shows respect for others' time and expectations. For example, Mr. DIY, a very famous retail chain in Malaysia, maintains inventory and price commitments across their outlets. And then the fourth is do not misrepresent or exaggerate or mislead. So honesty in communication is really important. Businesses should present facts accurately without manipulating or omitting key information. For example, honest advertising, for example, need to be done by brands like Dash Lady in order to build credibility. Why? Because people, when they want to consume Dash Lady's product, they will look at the honest advertisement that Dash Lady or Nestle has posted. So from there, the consumers will have the conviction to buy Nestle's product or Dash Lady's product. And then the fifth is to be a visible, responsible community citizen. So businesses have a role in supporting the community. That is the fact. So this includes contributing to social causes, minimizing environmental impact, and ensuring ethical labor practices. For example, like Nestle Malaysia just now, Nestle supports community farming and also nutrition programs. So this will make themselves visible in front of the community or the citizen of the nation. And then the sixth is utilize your accounting practice to eliminate questionable activities. So ethical accounting involves transparency, accuracy, and integrity in financial reporting. So, for example, Bank Negara enforces strict rules to eliminate questionable reporting. So this will represent Bank Negara as an honest organization and not doing any manipulation in terms of their accounting practices. And the last one is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So this is the golden rule applied in business ethics. It means treating all stakeholders like customers, employees, suppliers, shareholders, and competitors with fairness, empathy, and respect. So this principle basically promotes a culture of mutual trust and ethical conduct. For example, like UEM Group. UEM Group, they always ensure safe, fair work conditions for all of their employees. So guys, creating an ethics culture starts with clear codes of conduct and continuous training. So in Malaysia, for example, all the companies need to ensure that the code of ethics is read, understood, believed, and remembered. Periodic ethics workshops are needed to sensitize people to workplace circumstances in which ethics issues may arise. For example, like Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, okay, in Malaysia. For example, like Bursa Saham in Malaysia, they need to establish their ethics culture, which requires listed companies to publish their codes of ethics. Okay, and then we need to train the key. We need to train the key officers in the organization because training is the key. For example, like CEO involvement is crucial in reinforcing ethical values. Okay, whistleblowing mechanisms must be available. For example, like in Malaysia, we have Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, which is known as MACC, that encourages whistleblowers to report corruption via secure channels. So what is whistleblowing? It actually refers to employees reporting any unethical violations that they discovered or see in the firm. So this can involve fraud cases, corruption cases, health or safety violations, discrimination or harassment, environmental violations, and whatnot. So bribery, for example, is also one of the violations that happen in an organization. So whistleblowers can report to the party that enforce or strengthen the rules and regulation regarding the misbehavior among employees. So whistleblowing here can be in internal form or external form. In internal form, for example, the HR officers or any staff in the HR department reporting to someone inside the organization regarding any misconducted or behaviors among the employees. For external factor or external whistleblowing is the act of reporting to outsiders like regulators, media, or law enforcement regarding the misconduct. So, protection for whistleblowers. Many countries in the world have laws to protect all the whistleblowers. So, don't have to be afraid if you're one of the whistleblowers. So here, one of the example is whistleblowers, Facebook whistleblowers, okay, where it slams the company that involved in misconduct, called behavior. So, for example, Frances Holden, a former employee, leaked documents showing that the company knew its platforms could harm users, but actually didn't act. So, this is one of the examples that represent the whistleblower. And then we come to this bribery topic. You need to avoid bribery in any means. Bribery actually is one of the criminal offense in Malaysia, and it is stated under the MACC Act 2019. So, what is bribery? It is the offering, giving, receiving, or soliciting of any item of value to influence the actions of an official or other person in discharge of a public or legal duty. It is one of a big crime in most countries of the world, including our country. So, bribery is a criminal offense. So, businesses caught can face legal, reputational, and internal culture damage. For example, like Mara Property, one time, they involved in scandal in Australia. So, a cautionary tale for government-linked entities. So, what is bribery? We have discussed before this. So, there are strategic risks under bribery. First is legal consequences, followed by reputation damage, and also internal culture erosion. So, all these risks associated with bribery must be avoided by you and also your organization in the future. This is an example of bribery case. Okay, you can read after this. And then it comes to workplace romance. What is workplace romance? It is actually a very harmful morale that can lead to legal exposure. So, it can be detrimental to moral productivity. For example, favoritism complaints, confidentiality of record can be breached, reduced quality and quantity of work, personal arguments, whispering secrets can lead to tensions, sexual harassment charges, and also conflicts of interest that arise in the organization. So, workplace romance can harm morale and also will decrease the trust of others on you. So, you need to avoid all these things. For example, we have Malaysian companies like Sandabi before this. It has clear HR policies to manage such risks associated with workplace romance because they want to ensure professional boundaries among relevant parties and also the workers in the organization. Financial manipulation is falsifying financial in both unethical and illegal. For example, in 2019, Serba Dynamic, one of Malaysian company, faced scrutiny over accounting discrepancies. Why? Because their act will damage investors' confidence. So this stresses the need for transparency and also regulatory compliance. Okay, in financial manipulation, the risk associated with it is legal penalties, loss of credibility, collapse and bankruptcy. Okay, for example, WorldCom 2002. Okay, involving Sarbanes-Oxley Act. Okay, between the players, they fraudulently capitalized expenses to inflate earnings by 3.8 billion. We will continue with the next slide after this. Thank you for being